Hello. Welcome, Lemonheads. I'm so excited to see everybody today. Even though I theoretically cannot see you, I am really excited to be bringing you our May session of Juiced. And it's one of the things that's really been prevalent to me lately over the last several months as I've been talking to our existing clients and even some of our new clients that are coming on, is how ineffective it is to have a very what is my word, simple marketing plan. So simple sounds nice, but a lot of times we need to think that through because there's so much more that we could do for layering our marketing for true success. And so let me go to present. There we go. All right. So today we're going to talk about layering your marketing for total success. And so I want to give a little preface of what we're going to be talking about here. I love this cake analogy. My husband makes this really, really good 7 Up cake. Everybody loves it. And it is so simple, and he has had to perfect it. His big mama, his grandma taught him how to make it, or taught his aunt how to make it, and his dad how to make it. And then they taught him how to make it. But everyone in my family, his family, all of our friends are like, Ray, bring your cake, right? And so sometimes I've watched Ray make this cake lots of times. Most of the time, it's going to turn out perfect. But there's sometimes that he might try a little something different, or we have a different brand of something that it just doesn't hit the same as it normally hits. And I've realized that that's really because you've got to hit the recipe right and constantly be evolving it, and watching for ways to make it better and all the time. And so he is great at this because he's always like, oh, let's try an orange glaze on top of it. Let's try just a sugar glaze on top of it. So I just thought it really was a good analogy for how we need to layer our marketing and how the foundational pieces of what we build our business on and what we build our brand on are so super important right now. So I'm going to jump in here. So your ideal customer, right? So when we are building our cake and we're building our marketing strategy, what you have to think through is, who are you talking to? I was visiting with a friend last night that's opened up this cool little boutique here in town. And she's like, I really serve everyone. Like there's something for everyone. Kind of like a little badge of honor, right? Like I serve everyone. Well, here's the problem. When we talk to everyone with our messaging and with our graphics and with our design choices, we really are talking to no one specifically. Therefore, we are not evoking emotion. We are not encouraging movement. We are not doing a lot of things that really are impactful for driving home the brand identity inside of that target market's mind. So when I say this, it's really important that we think through, who are we talking to? Most of you, most decision makers for home service companies, at least across the United States, are women, decision makers. So something goes wrong, they talk to their husband or their partner and they're like, hey, this is what's going on. And they're going to say, hey, well, let's call the AC company. Well, I don't know who to call. Never had to call an AC company. That is where you need your brand to start popping up in their head. So every time they've seen your messaging and things like that, it has impacted them. So your ideal customer cannot be a 40-year-old guy and a 65-year-old woman. We can't not love dogs and love dogs, right? So we have to get super targeted, and identify who we're talking to. When I say that, there's always the outlying side of things that people are going to pick up on, right? So people are going to pick up on, um, if I run a really good ad, of course, women over around the age are going to see it, and men are going to see it. But it's, who are we talking to, right? Who is the meat of the message meant for? And we have got to identify who that is. Okay. Next is, we have to have different ingredients to make our cake. So if you were to come into my bakery and say, oh, you know what I really want is this German chocolate bundt cake. Can I have some of that? And I was like, sure. And I handed you 2 eggs. I didn't hand you a cake. That's not a cake. That's an egg, right? So that cake actually has to be made up of all of these different ingredients. And you know what happens with all these different ingredients? Well, they're all different brands and they're all different temperatures and they're all different sizes and flavor. And so you've got all of these things that you have to mix together just right to make them taste the way that you want them to taste. Make it do what you want it to do. And so I say this all the time, like when people say, "Oh, can I have a marketing plan?" And I say, "Oh, here's a digital vendor." That's not a marketing plan. Your digital company, your website company is not a full marketing plan. That is a strategy, that's an ingredient, but it's not the whole cake, right? So if you're like, "Oh, I really spend all of my time in PPC." Sure, an ingredient, not a cake, right? So we have to really think through, what are we going to build together to make a cake? So, my great grandmother used to make a pound cake, just a basic pound cake, and I remember it had to be started from a you had to put it in a cold oven to bake it, and I was always like, and it was super dense. It was a very dense pound cake, and I think about it because I'm like, why? And it was because that was the strategy, right? You used basic things: sugar, flour, butter, and eggs, right? Maybe some vanilla, and that's the same things that Ray uses, other than a few other. My husband uses for his cake, other than a few other things like Seven Up, But over here, that cake, the ingredients to that cake weren't also as impactful as the way that you baked the cake. So all of this whole cake analogy is so, guys, it is so reflective in your marketing strategy. So sometimes it's not the tactic, it's the amount of money that we're spending with the tactic. Or it's not the offer, it's the tactic. So we have a good offer going, but for some reason our print ads aren't producing, or we have a really good branding strategy for billboards, but that's the only branding that we're doing. Like we don't have any wrapped trucks, right? So we've got to look at the whole comprehensive package to understand, it could be an ingredient, it could be how long we bake it, it could be what we bake it in, it could be a grease pan versus an ungreased pan, it could be all of these things, but we have to have actual ingredients. A cake that is just flour is not a cake, it is flour. And so when we're talking about marketing strategy, I want you to understand it is how we are going to layer in all of these different tactics to have this super moist, delicious cake that everyone wants. Okay. So, ways we're going to talk about, there's three buckets that Lemon Seed uses, or three layers that we talk about. Okay. The number one layer and the most important foundational layer, in my perspective, in my opinion, is ways to be memorable in your marketplace. Okay. So, ways that we can stand out, ways that we resonate with people, we infiltrate their mind, whether they like it or not. Okay. So, how do we show up and show out with our brand, our logo, what we look like, how we're driving, what our technicians look like, how we are perceived in our community, our social media pieces, our radio jingles, our billboards? How do we make people see and understand who we are before they need our services? That is the imperative thing. It's before they need our services. So if you're like, well, I just want to get everybody searching for services, perfect. That's the second level. But what we want to do is think about all the customers in your life, right? So, like right now, my group of friends, we're vastly different stages of life. So I have a friend that literally is 40 and just had a baby, literally like 3 days ago, just had a baby. I have another friend who her son, she's younger than me, and her son just graduated high school. I have another friend that her son just got married. So, like, just the vast disparity of where we are in life is literally how we live life every day. So, not everybody is ready to use you right now. We're all in these different stages as regular people of where we are in any buying journey. So, some of us are closer to trying to figure out a new house to go live in, or college funds, or braces or no braces, right? Vacations, our kids, things that they're going to drive, new tires, the whole world is in totally different places for totally different services all the time. So if we only focus on people that are ready to buy an heating and air conditioning, or a plumbing, or electrical, or a roof right now, then that's the only people we're ever going to get. And that is a dogfight. That is the most expensive way to run a marketing plan, because you're doing no proactive work, and you're probably not doing much reactive work. You're only there when people have said, I need it right now. My AC is broken right now. So now you're trying to show up and be like, pick me, when really that is not what is happening, right? The consumer is actually shopping around. So we don't want to rely on that being the only place that we live. So that's that bottom layer of your cake is how are you starting now telling people who you are so that when they need you, they remember you. So again, those are having your vans wrapped, putting your banners at your local baseball complexes, supporting the football team, um, a radio jingle, a running radio campaign, right? Even print ads. Now, some of you that still have things like phone books or newspapers, I know some of y'all are like, what? Who has that? A lot of markets still have it. Okay. But those are all really cool marketing plans and marketing strategies that you can deploy for your business. So that's the first level. The second level is going to be how do we stay discoverable? And with discoverable, that is like, okay, so I'm trying to be memorable. I'm in my community. My vans are wrapped. My technicians look good. I'm doing social media. Like I'm out there, right? People are seeing me. People are experiencing me. Now let's talk about what about when people do go free agent out there, like AC repair near me, water heater replacement near me, roof inspections near me. How do I get there? This is where your website, your paid ads like GLSA, pay per click, geofencing, even social media paid ads. To me, this is also where I put in a lot of direct mail pieces that are meant to be directional and intentional and not brand building. So, again, know the intent of each of your tactics. What is the intent? What is the longevity? What is the strategy? So, that discoverable, that middle layer is where we're going to actually start asking people for their business. So, the bottom part, that memorable part, we're just like, hey, look at us. We're so kind. We're so good. We're so trustworthy. We're high quality. We love our community. We love our employees, right? You're telling everybody this. You're writing a story. You're controlling the narrative. The next step is people are searching and you're like, pick me, pick me. So now you've got to allocate money. This is one of the most expensive layers of this cake. This is the raspberry champagne caviar filled middle piece. Okay. Because we got to go ham on PPC. Some of y'all that are in busy markets like Dallas, Phoenix, Vegas, that is Houston, San Antonio. We're talking about some busy ad placement strategies there, right? So when you do that, that gets expensive. So when we're expensive, we want to make sure that we are calculating in what we're doing, and so we're tracking. But that's an important piece. That middle piece is we're going to start asking for the business. Low barrier of entry style offers, an $89 tune up, an $89 water heater flush, 93 or it's free drain clearing offer, a gift with purchase on a new system, a large rebate back on a new system, tax incentive reminders, a something that you can do for financing, 12 months no payments, 60 months no payment, 60 months no interest, my bad, 60 months no interest. So those are aggressive, but if you're going to do them, you better know why you're doing them and go hard for those, right? So then we get to the very top layer of our cake, which again, we're working in layers, and that is ways to be fosterable. Okay, so fosterable means we have got to be so intentional about documenting every single lead that comes into our business because you paid to earn that business. You paid to earn that client, to earn that lead, to earn that install. So now you need to foster that relationship and keep them coming back to you. Stay top of mind. So if you go out and replace a brand new system for someone and then you turn around and you never talk to them again for 10 years and you're like, oh yeah, now it's time for me to talk to you again because your system's getting older. You should have already been talking to them every single month with your newsletter or every single quarter with a piece of mail that just says, hey, I'm here. And those of you that are multi-service, hello, friends, like you're multi-service. So just so you go replace their HVAC system doesn't mean you shouldn't be coming after their electric panel, their water heater, their slow drains, their sewer systems, their septic pumps, their all of that stuff. Or, if you're a roofing company and things like that, just because you replace parts of things does not mean you shouldn't let go. Like make sure that you are categorizing and documenting all of those people in your CRM effectively and neatly and as much information. Do you know what is a gold mine? When you start collecting age of equipment. When you start collecting age of equipment, you change the game, right? You change the game, you get faster, you get more things happening, you get more leads at your disposal. You all of a sudden you have all of these unique audiences that you can build out and work from. And so when you're not doing age of equipment, or you're not tagging your membership club, or you're not marking, like using the right task codes, then y'all, it is a gold mine of information if we use it correctly. Okay. So I just really want to encourage you guys to think about that. So then we have that fosterable level. Well, from that, now we can email them, we can text them, we can drop ringless voicemails to them, we can send direct mail happy birthday cards, Merry Christmas cards, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Easter. We can, because all we're trying to do is foster those relationships so that they refer us and they remember us. They refer us and they remember us. That is your referral strategy. Stay in front of them, stay with them, send them emails every single month. I would be making, y'all, email. It's so cheap, it's so easy. Just if you invest the time up front, we get you going. Invest the time to get those automations going and get those emails out every single month. It is worth your time. It is worth your time. So next, we're going to jump through when you are, my bad, when you are memorable, right? So let's jump back to our branding side. When you are memorable, you're like, oh yeah, this is the best. I'm doing my happy dance because I've got a good brand and I look good. My vans look good. First of all, I'm going to hurt some of your feelings. Some of y'all's logos do not look good, right? Some of you have a very confusing logo, a very old looking logo, which makes your target market think they're antiquated, right? They're older. They've got something not fresh, right? And it's not that we don't love the nostalgic side, but a lot of us need to be refreshing our look of our vans, the look of our logo without changing our whole identity. A lot of you do not need to change your whole identity. Honestly, a lot of you, especially what I call legacy companies, like people that have had the same brand and look for more than 5 or 6 years, 10 years, 20 years, more than anything, you just need to refresh it to re energize your company, re energize the community thinking they know you. And you don't have to change your whole name and things like that, but you can take and make a very nostalgic nod to who you are without changing your brand, and it just gives it new life. It breathes freshness to it. It excites your customers, it excites your team members, it excites your community. Like, people just get behind it. So I just encourage you there. But really, what y'all are thinking, um, on the next slide there, would be show me the money, right? So many of you are like, yeah, Crystal, branding sounds fantastic, but you're about to ask me for a bunch of money. That's all relative, right? That's all relative. So I talk to clients all the time. The hardest companies to rebrand are when you want to change your entire identity, your entire name, and we've got to go rewrap a bunch of trucks and things like that. But there is a strategy, friends. There is a schedule that we can use. But as far as, like, that's rebuilding your brand and freshening it up. And listen, we do free brand analysis all the time. It takes about 30 minutes, and it's just an open conversation about what we think your brand could do better. And sometimes we'll say, this brand is freaking awesome. This is great. Odds are there's room for improvement here and there, and it will revitalize your business. So I encourage you to be thinking about that, because memorable is going to get a little expensive, because this is where you need to have high quality shoots made for commercials. You need to get a jingle created. Excuse me. Um, you need to get a jingle created. You need to get new billboards designed and things like that. It is expensive, but friends, listen, you have to dig your well before you are thirsty. So we have got to start now building out our brand. So what I tell people is, I don't want to diversify your budget so much that you can't get enough frequency and consistency. So depending on your budget, I would say that you need to at least own one tactic and own it well. So you want to own local radio, get you a jingle and own local radio. And then as your income increases and your brand increases, layer in TV or layer in digital TV or billboards and all of those things. Layer on those things, but start somewhere by owning something. Do not continue to spread your budget so thin that you really only get a little tiny piece of a lot of things. It is much more impactful to have a good frequency and consistency on one tactic than it is on two or three different tactics. Okay, so that's the thought there. And then let's talk about the marketing funnel. Okay. So at the very top of that funnel that I mentioned when we started is just the awareness level. The awareness level is just where people in your market live. So remember, all of us are in different parts of this funnel for different things. So this same funnel applies to people looking to buy a swimming pool, to people looking to buy a new car, to people looking to buy a new house, right? So all of these things, people looking to buy an engagement ring, right? We had a team member get engaged this week. So, I'm like the same thing. Like I'm thinking about it. Oh, I'm actually educating myself on it. I'm ready. I'm doing it, right? So we are in that same boat. So we need to be reaching our audience everywhere they are. Every level of this marketing funnel, we need to be there and we need to be prepared. And so your billboards for that awareness level should not have percentages and a bunch of photography on it and be super cluttered. You know what it needs to have on it? Your flipping logo. Nobody cares about your Facebook. Nobody cares about that you take American Express. Most of the time, I'm going to tell you, we don't even care about a phone number. When's the last time you were going 80 miles an hour around a highway and saw, oh, there's the phone number to a company, and you turned around and parked and wrote it down and put it in your phone and called the company right there? That's not what happens. That's not the intent. The intent of a billboard is immediate visual identity, a visual engagement with my brand and with my look and feel, not for me to process through a whole entire offer, phone number, and that you take American Express. That's not the intent, right? So then there's that desire and need. So that this is where we're getting into our direct mail and our SEO work and our PPC side of things, Google local services, right? Like people have a desire, a need for it, they're looking for it. And then now we're where people are ready to take action. So that is where we have got to show up in maps, and we've got to show up where we need to show up in the paid ad strategy. So, SEO alone, great. That's a great tactic, but it's much better with a PPC bumper, as I call it, and then GLSA bumper. All of those things working, map ads working so that we are everywhere our people are, right? Because the next step is those people that are ready to take action, we're grabbing them. And then those people that are like, hey, we're making a decision, right? We're making a decision today, So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is like how people can actually experience your brand. So in your community, think of all of the places that people experience your brand. Where are they experiencing your actual look and feel? So you see on the screen here, I've got billboards. So that's a billboard set up. And if you notice that billboard, both of them are in very popular looking areas, right? That looks like we're near schools and we're near churches and we're near whatever that looks like for your community. Is it near the Walmart intersection, right? Where is it? And then as you see over here on the baseball field is a Yellow Bear Air in the top right corner. That is the local Little League team. That is our banner there because who's at baseball fields, right? Moms and grandmas and aunts and best friends and my sister and my church, my Sunday school teacher. Like these people came to watch, right? So there is our logo. Is somebody going to sit in their car right then and go, oh, thank God, Yellow Bear Air, I need to call them right now? No, but it's one more time that they were exposed to your brand. They were exposed, they were engaged with it, they saw it, it resonated, and they moved on, right? Because that's not what they're there for. But that's exactly what our banner is there for. So don't sleep on those opportunities. Also, you see there's the little cars driving around with the music notes. Da, 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 da. That's our jingle, right? So the pest control company that my brother and sister and I own, we got a jingle and it's like spot on. Everything we do is, and there's this little ding, spot on. So my brother-in-law was telling me last night, he said, man, I go to this house and we're knocking down cobwebs and we're spraying for spiders. And he said the man was like, oh yeah, I love y'all's radio jingle. Everything we do is, and Chris said, my brother-in-law said, I just said ding, spot on. And he said, the guy knew it, I knew it, and it was just a moment, right? Just a fun moment because jingles are so annoyingly successful that they are we're crazy guys not to get those going. And that can be used on digital audio like Spotify, Pandora, things like that. It also can be used on traditional radio on the back and the front and the end. Oh, so as an intro and an outro to your videos. You can put it running behind videos, like as a sound behind videos. Lots that you can do with a jingle other than just radio. So get those jingles thought out. And if you go back and look, one other thing that I wanted to show on the screen here is going to be your vans that are driving around your community. So let's talk about that for a minute. So in the memorable side, we do not want our vans having hats stuck in the dash and a technician that's got two cigarettes, one in each hand, and there's trash falling out of their van, or they've been sideswiped and you're not doing anything about it, or paint's peeling. So if paint is peeling off of the wrap, to me, it makes people in your community think, oh, they're broke. They can't even fix their van. And you're like, that's not true. I'm just waiting or whatever. But I need you to think about the impact. That's a rolling billboard, right? It's a rolling billboard. So just think through those things a little bit more. So that's the memorable side, right? But now guess what? I want to be where the people are, right? I want to be like Ariel. We want to be where people are. One of my biggest pet peeves, you can ask anyone, any of the account managers on my Lemon Seed team, is when digital companies will say, oh my gosh, look how good you rank for HVAC mechanical contractor near me. You rank number one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. But who is searching that? Who is searching HVAC mechanical contractor near me? Is it 100 people? Is it 4 people? I have a feeling that it's more like -2 people are searching that. So I can show up in spot one for that for no one, and that doesn't help me. Right? So I don't know about you. I can't make payroll off of clicks and impressions. I make payroll off of return on the ad spend that I'm doing. Actual generated revenue makes a difference, right? So when we do those analysis, a lot of times I'm like, but this is where the people are, right? So now we're trying to be discoverable. So we want to be where the people are. We want to be where we are actively present, where our desired target market is. So let me tell you a good example is, let's say there's a really nice house and it's near a trailer park. Not that you don't work on trailer parks, but if we are advertising that we're doing a rebate on a certain size system or something like that, you need to think like, is this about to mail where people don't even qualify for it? Or you're doing a rebate through the energy company, but the energy company doesn't service that area of town. Why are you wasting your money? Right? So we need to think through all of these pieces. It's very important that we think through that. So let's quickly talk about billboards for a second. I've kind of mentioned a lot of these things. So billboards, here's my biggest piece of advice on billboards. You need to buy them and negotiate down the first price that you get. You need to put them in non-high traffic areas, which is going to feel very counterintuitive. What I mean is, don't put it on an interstate. Put it where people live, as much inside of your own communities so that it's residential traffic and not commuter traffic that you're experiencing, right? Unless you're on a corridor, like you run from cities all the way through some other cities, maybe you can get on that main thoroughfare. But for the most part, guys, get as in the town as you can get as branded as you can get. Because remember, it is just an exposure. The expectation of billboards is just the visual engagement and exposure. So I just encourage you there about billboards. Okay. So this is the pest control company that we're using. So as you can see, the left side is always the same. Spot On Pest Control with our mascot, Johnny. And then on the right, we've made a play. We're not just on it, we're spot on. Our service isn't spotty, it's spot on. Your one-stop spot for pest solutions, spot on. So spot, 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 spot. But those are all around our town right now, right? Because you see, like they're automatically, they identify that this is the same company, just slightly different wording to keep the engagement up. Okay. And then on those wrapped vehicles, like we mentioned, again, guys, it is important that you wrap your vehicles in all of them, especially the bigger, like your install vans. Those are rolling billboards. So I encourage you to stay there. Let's take a look at this one of our newest companies here. This is beautiful. They're out of East Texas, and we actually updated their name one more time because they've added another service. But this was a new brand for them. So as you can see, you go from that white van syndrome to look how much more interesting this van is. Look at their mascot on the side. That's Pelican Pete. Look how large their logo is. So if you notice, we're not putting a manufacturer on here. We're not putting every single service, indoor air quality that we service. That's not what we're doing. We have put on here what we need people to remember is Innovative Air Solutions. iairsolutions.com. That's what we need them to remember, right? Same thing here. They went from this, who cares about free estimates and things like that, over into this really sleek and modern look of this vehicle here. So again, in layering your marketing, this is why branding is very important. You go from this that's super busy, super clunky, down to this nice, pretty, like, look how much you want to love comfort, cleared for takeoff. D2, you're interested, you're engaged in this air solutions. It makes sense to you, heating and air. So you know what people are going to remember? Oh, it's that airplane company. Shanklin, same thing. Here's their mascot. Shanklin Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical. It's on the front, it's on the back. We did not overclutter this, right? We kept it nice and easy. This is a rebrand that we did. Magnolia, do you notice that this is a fan, right? Rooted in quality, blooming in comfort. Here's our little character. I mean, so much going on here, but it's not so much that the consumer can't comprehend what we do. We do not have a bunch of social media across the bottom. We don't have American Express. We don't have these huge websites 5 times and 26 phone numbers, right? Get clear, get concise. And then your radio jingles, like I mentioned, just get interesting. Sorry, just get interesting, get creative with those. Social media. Listen, friends, if you're not active on social media right now, get there. Just post something every single day. A picture of a van, a picture of an install, a picture of a team member, picture of a thermostat, a picture of yourself, link an article, do something to stay engaged, right? So this is one of our contractors here. So, he does not always want to be dressed up, but for St. Patrick's Day, this got a lot of content. One Choice Mechanical does some fun stuff where they're straddling this tree for Hug a Tree Day, right? That is nothing to do with HVAC or plumbing, everything to do with engagement. The community support side is where I told you, like, get involved in your communities. Set a budget that's like maybe 5.5% or 1% of your total marketing budget, of your total revenue, and dedicate that to giving back to the communities that you and your team live, work, and play in, and just engage, and you will see a natural buy-in to your brand. So let's talk about non-search digital things, right? So things that are not digital components that your consumers might see without searching for it, right? So here's an example. I want to move into a new area of my town. I need to just push my ads into those social media feeds so that people realize that I'm here. Okay. So there's no intent from the consumer first. So they didn't go search AC repair near me. They didn't go search indoor air quality. They didn't go search water heater replacement or slow drains. They didn't do anything but live in the right place, right? Or be in the right place or visit the right place. So they're driving through these areas or they're living in these areas. So as you can see, there's just different places that they see these ads, and you want to be there. That's a really good place to layer in some ads, especially as you're trying to acquire new market share in new areas, right? New market share in new areas. Those are some really cool things that you can deploy to add on. Okay. Also, so on direct mail, I'm going to spend a little time on direct mail today because this is definitely a layered approach, because direct mail can be layered in at all different times. The only time I'm going to tell you to slow your roll on direct mail is when you have no branded presence. Okay. So, for example, I want to go into a new market that never sees my vans. There's no billboards in that market. I'm not involved in their community. So these people have no idea who you are. So sending them direct mail is true junk mail. They don't have the connection with you at all to go, oh, I know these people. They do this, right? Or I've seen them here. If they have no reference point, it's extremely hard for that direct mail piece to perform. So on the flip side of that, what you might do is launch SEO and launch a billboard or two, and then 3 or 4 months after that, send a direct mail piece that literally says, we're new here. Like, we've been in business 40 years, but we're new to your area. Here is a first look offer, right? Here's a $50 off offer because your area is new to us, right? So that's one way to run direct mail. Another way to run it is once you have a branded presence, so you have been actively running branding campaigns. Again, friends, billboards, radio, TV, something that is just brand specific, then you can start dropping very consistent mail to prospect homeowners that fit the right parameters that will be needing your services. So you've got to launch those things and get going with those so that you can really grab new customers and play off of your branding. Okay. So that's another way to do direct mail. Another step to launch direct mail in is on that fosterable layer, right? The fosterable layer of your cake. So direct mail is also one of the Lemon Seed's biggest recommendations is that everyone in your database, give or take, we can talk about audiences, but should get a piece of mail from you at least once a quarter. A tangible piece of mail, a newsletter, a letter in an envelope, a postcard, something, so that you can stay top of mind awareness. So direct mail can be deployed at all different times and in all different stages of things. So direct mail is one that I definitely keep on the table. Lemon Seed loves to work alongside companies like Best Postcards and Stokastic to help our clients see really good results. Okay, so again, memorable, discoverable, and fosterable. So we're going to jump into don't get too diluted, meaning don't separate out your marketing budget so much. So do you know what really also is important is we want people directly searching for us, not searching for us in a broad term. So when we become discoverable, sometimes so remember, these people do not have a connection to the brand or they would have direct searched, right? They would have said Magnolia Heating and Air. Because what are they probably looking for, right? The phone number. So they're going to hit your GMB and they're going to call you. So we want those direct searches. We want those direct searches. Direct searches are built and made through branding. Then we layer on the discoverability side, which is they've gone free agent, right? They went rogue and they went to Google and said AC repair near me, water heater repair near me, roof repair near me, and they got that. So number one is your website. Can we navigate it? Can we use it? Is it performing? And when I say this, like how many visitors, you should have lots of visitors to your website every single month if you're doing SEO correctly. So when you meet with your digital vendor and they say, you have 300, I'd ask them, well, how do I get more? Right? How do we get more? So because SEO is the true train behind that website. So a website, when you tell people like me, a marketer, that you have a website, it doesn't mean anything to me other than you have a URL. What I'm looking for is the actual search engine optimization of the search terms. Like, I want to know that my site has the words all in it around AC repair and my cities and my towns and my counties, how people are searching. So SEO is super important. And so Whataburger, right? If you live in East Texas, if you live in Texas, you know what Whataburger is. Do you know what most people call it? Waterburger. They're going to say, oh, I'm going to Waterburger. You're going to Whataburger, right? But Whataburger is one of those things like you just know who they are. This is not fancy, right? It is orange and white and a solid font, but they own this. Everything's orange and white. They own it. And people are going to misspell it when they direct search, right? Because Waterburger is very similar, right? Also, hot water heaters, East Texas. You know what we fix? A hot water heater. Why we have to heat hot water? I don't know. It's a Texas thing. It's a Southern thing. But hot water heater is an actual search term that people in our market are searching. So use that wording. Use what people say where you are as you are layering different marketing pieces. That SEO, search engine optimization, we need to optimize that search term. Backlinking is where you are getting people to connect your website to their website. Your website provider should be doing that for you. Also, your social media profile. Is it updated? Friends, do you have your logo on your header? Is this identifiable? Have you done things to know that people are engaging with the right brand? All of those things are very important. So 86% of Americans say they go to YouTube to learn something. Right? So YouTube, if you have anyone on your team, let's get them recording simple videos like why you change your filter, how to program your thermostat, how to check the temperature of my water heater, where my water shutoff valve is, how do I turn off my electric panel, how do I do all of these, what are some little things that you can show people how to do, how do I clear a garbage disposal, and then at the very end you say, hey, by the way, trust the professionals, call us out there and let's do this for you, right? E-commerce is another really cool way to layer in. So I talked to a contractor yesterday that was like, man, we've been doing e-commerce for like a year now. We've not done anything with it. Guys, that's so lazy, right? Start using your link. So using an e-commerce platform like Contractor Commerce to sell your membership clubs or to sell your um, filter program, or even at least give generic quotes on equipment is a game changer. And then linking that in your social media and in your emails so that people can click here to sign up for our membership, click here to get our filter program. E-commerce is really a cool way to layer on. So if you don't invest in the organic discoverability, you will always have to rely on paid discoverability, right? Organic is back to that brand building and being direct searched, and the SEO side. And then paid discoverability, guys, get your pocketbooks ready, right? This is where life gets expensive, right? This is where we start talking about PPC and things like that, that in GLSA that are, it's literally a dogfight. Like you put you and your competitors all in a ring and you just punch until people get tired and they fall out of the ring. Right now, some of y'all have 20 boxers in the ring and some of y'all have two. But listen, this is not a fun place to be because it is expensive, right? Pay per click, it looks like this. This is what it shows up. You get that little ad box. People will say, I never click on ads, and they probably don't. But there are people clicking on ads. And if you don't believe me, go look at your click throughs. You're getting charged for something. So this cannot be, friends, this cannot be your only strategy. This is like giving me an egg when I ask you for a cupcake. I want the whole freaking cupcake. You gave me an egg. This is a piece of your puzzle. It cannot be all of your puzzle. Same thing for Google local service ads. This is what they look like. The good news about GLSA is I think this was Google's attempt to even the playing field from large contractors to small contractors. So get here because you only pay for leads that are valid leads 90% of the time. And so you're not just out there in the wild, wild west clickety clacking around with PPC, with GLSA. It's true click measurability. Okay. And then let's talk about that fosterable side of our business. Okay. Fosterability. So, like a lot of you are like, uh, ew, right? Like, I don't want emails. I don't want Christmas. I don't, I don't want to talk to people. And I don't want to pay for these people. And then everybody else is like, oh my gosh, I love it. Y'all, I love a good fosterability program. These people are your advocates. These people that have experienced your brand, experienced your level of service. I hope you've done a good job. And now these are advocates. These are raving fans. So we've got to keep them engaged, especially those of us that have services that they do not need very often, right? Years apart. We've got to get here, right? We've got to get here. So you have to still stay on their radar. You have to still stay relevant. When there is no demand, your existing customer base is going to be the most responsive. So let's look at that layer again, right? So you've got your brand is going, then you've got your paid ads piece going, and then you've got your existing database going. You see how we've layered in all of those things and they keep working when the other one's not, right? But that foundational piece of the brand is really important. Okay. So emails, let's talk about emails that you could send, right? So like, what about a what's happening in our community? Or just community support. We as a company, we're so excited to go help build a Habitat for Humanity house. We donated 50 pounds of dog food. We worked at an orphanage. Like we worked at all these different, we sent money, we sent supplies. What have you done? Talk about successes. Like we reached 500 5-star reviews today, last month. Send an email, show a picture of your team, feature some of those reviews. Oh, and people love a team spotlight. So I encourage you there. Like there is a lot of things that you can do with happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy way to get a 5-star review. This was a great install. He's wearing a great hat. Showcase your team. The next one is this is Jim Bob, our warehouse manager's secret barbecue sauce, right? This is our team on team building day. Also, like, hey, this month we're going to feature a restaurant of the month because we service their ice machine, right? This is who they are. And we bought 5 gift cards and call in today, see if you can win one of those 5. Seasonal tips. So, an example of this that I use quite often is chimney safety, right? Or Christmas tree light safety. Those are things that are not directional to the actual service that you provide, but what they are applicable information. So, think about those things when you're like, you know what, it's time for people to clean their gutters. Well, I'm not a roofing company. Okay, so what? but it's a good tip that's all around the home, right? Also featuring your maintenance club, guys, like featuring things like I um priority service. So, like I was just building out clients emails for the summer, and I'm going to build out the one of the biggest reasons to join our maintenance club is priority service. Don't get caught where we can't service you. Join our priority club and get priority service. And then last but not least on emails, like seasonal offers, like um right now it's crawfish season. So you could say, hey, anybody that buys a new system from us, we're giving you 20 pounds of crawfish, right? At $8 a pound. That sounds pretty good, right? I can feed my whole family with 20 pounds of crawfish, right? So that's weird. It's out of the box, but hey, send that in an email that says this is an email only offer. Call today's schedule. If you're going to install your system before the end of May, we're going to buy you 20 pounds of crawfish and all the sides. It's going to cost you 300 bucks, but you sold a new system. You should have that built in anyway, right? Another way is text blasting those people, right? So when you text people, you cannot blow them up, but you've got to text with that sense of urgency, like, hey, you should call today, book by May 10th, book by next week, book by next Friday, right? Give them some sense or click here to online book. Those are great. Ringless voicemails are something I'm really loving to use in some light areas. So ringless voicemails, like all of a sudden you say, hey, it's Crystal with Yellow Bear Air. Just calling to remind you that right now we have a special $89 water heater flush. If you help us fill our schedule, we would love to come out, make sure that your water's working well, give you a little temperature gauge on your water heater. Give us a call back. And they're going to call you and be like, I don't know how I missed your call, right? Ringless voicemail. We're just going to drop a voicemail into their voicemail inbox. Direct mail, mail those customers a newsletter, a postcard, a 4th of July offer. 4 times a year at minimum, we should be mailing them. Here's an example of what a newsletter looks like, or even like hats off to an $79 tune up using our brand. This is very brand specific. But guys, like this is the money side of your existing customer base and direct mail. So you know what we have? We have the haves and we have the have nots, right? They have gotten a quote. They have not actually purchased. These clients have had a repair done, but they have not had a new system. So this is how we build out audiences. So who has purchased but did not join our maintenance program? Who has used us for plumbing but not for HVAC? So I use the have and the have not method all the time for audience building. Who has done this but not this? And my offer is going to be indicative of that. So if you have gotten a quote but you haven't actually purchased, here is a 10% off or a $300 off. If you had a repair done and you didn't have a new system, let me remind you that maybe I'm going to credit that invoice cost to the cost of a new system, right? These are audiences that you can build out and really get a lot from. Okay. So then email, this is a channel. Um, this is a channel of how you can funnel to your customers. I shouldn't use the word channel. I'm sorry. This is a chain of how you can reach out. So the first thing you can do is do an email, right? The most effective, cost effective way is to send an email. Because relatively in the grand scheme of things, if it costs you anything, it's pennies, right? Yes, you're paying for the Marketing Pro subscription or the MailChimp subscription, but for the most part, email is very affordable, right? The next one would be a ringless voicemail or a text message, right? One of the two. And then you drop the other one. And then direct mail and outbound dialing are the most expensive ways to reach your customers. With direct mail, you have the cost of actual print and mailing. And with outbound dialing, you have the actual labor cost of someone sitting and dialing out on a very consistent basis. And so I tell you, use those cost effective measures early. Use those more strategically in the beginning. And then when you get down to it, then start mailing and outbound dialing because those are the most expensive leads that we can push. Okay. And then last but not least, we don't want things going to the trash. We want to make sure that that this is things that that your homeowner can identify with, right? So if they always get the same old emails from you all the time and there's no value in them, you've got to put things in there that make them want to read them and engage with them. So these are some email automations that you can turn on, meaning they run in the background, friend. Like they run while you sleep. For those of you that are on Chirp or Hatch or RP1 or Marketing Pro. All of these are automations that you spend a little bit of time carving out and creating, but then you really let them run in the background. So open estimates, right? New customers, thank you so much for choosing Yellow Bear Air. Here is a $50 off your next service. Membership welcome, like, hey, you joined our Lemon Seed Club. Welcome to the tree, right? Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Here's another reminder of all of the great perks you get from being on our plan. Missing membership opportunities, like we see that we serviced you, but you didn't join our membership program. You could have saved $30, right? Refrigerant leaks. So look in your database and go, who did we put refrigerant in for last year about this time? Because you know what they need right now? Probably a new system. They probably need a new system. Who did you go out to last year on some water heater work and you literally are like limping a little dog along and you know it? What task code did you use inside of your CRM when you service that you can pull it and say, knock, 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 I know you need a new water heater and here's our offer, right? And then little silly fun things like, happy 5th birthday to your new tankless water heater. Those are just ways that you can engage. You are, like Dave's saying here in the chat, you are the expert on all of these things. And so we have to remind them, we have to show them, we have to educate them on a lot of these things. Okay. Let's talk about unsold estimates. Let's see here. Hang on. Let me jump to a few one here. And this, well, I'll put this in here. So I think the biggest thing here is like this train has got to keep going. Okay. Because I want to leave a few minutes just in case people have questions. Make sure, guys, if you're watching this live, that you go drop me some questions in the comments. I'll start answering those questions and commenting back here in a little bit. But I want to talk about this layered approach. So honestly, guys, I need you to get your brand in order first. Okay. So if we're going to go push hard and heavy, we're going to start building a brand, whether you like your brand or not. Every ounce of marketing that we're doing is building your brand. So yesterday I talked to a contractor and he's like, hey, I just don't have a lot of money. But I really want to go hard and heavy on new customer acquisition. So I said, great, we can totally do that. And then he said, but I really don't like my brand. So like in 4 or 5 months, I'm going to redo my brand. So I said, well, what's going to change in 4 or 5 months? He's like, I just feel like I'll be more ready. I said, was it a financial reason? No, I just feel like I'll be more ready. I said, okay, let me tell you why you feel that way. Because you think there's going to be this master moment of ta-da, right? The work really begins after we give you a new logo, right? After we give you a new mascot, a new friend, a new tagline. That's when the work really begins because now we've got to re-educate your entire market. So I encourage everyone, if it's not a price problem, it's kind of like having a baby or moving. You ain't going to do it. And it's never really going to feel like the perfect time, right? So you just have to jump in with both feet and be bought into the practice and to the thought, the theory on how branding really works, which is like if you buy in as the owner, your team buys in, your community will buy in, you put your brand out there, you hit the gas, you don't hit the brake, and you never turn it off. McDonald's still has billboards, right? You know why? Because they understand the importance of remembrance. They understand the importance of gentle reminders. Yes, everybody knows that the Quarter Pounder tastes the same in Nebraska as it does in New York, as it does in Texas, right? We know who McDonald's is, but now we're just remembering who McDonald's is, right? By looking at their billboards and watching their TV commercials and watching if you don't watch, I think it's McDonald's. It's also Elf, the makeup brand on TikTok, and even on Be Real right now. Go watch what they do. And guys, they do not have to be doing those things. They just understand the impact of branding. And so I need us as home service companies, we've got to understand that how important it is how we look and how we are perceived in our market. Then the next thing we layer on are all of our digital ads and paid placement pieces where we're asking them for the business, like, let us do work for you. Here's an offer that's affordable and things like that. And you layer that on, right? And then the very next step is going to be now you've got all of those things going because a business that does not have new customers coming in every single month is a dying business, right? People die, people move. We have to work through new customer acquisition has got to be a focus. It has to be a focus on how you're tracking your leads. It's got to be a focus on when you're looking at ROI. It's got to be a focus on when you're thinking about what to buy next, what tactic to layer in next. New customer acquisition is where you have, how can I get more people to pick me? And then once they pick you, Then how do we keep them there, friends? Like, how do we keep them there rocking and rolling? Those are all the way that we have to layer our marketing. So you get your brand built, you get it going, you don't press stop, you add on to it. It's another car, it's another train on your another piece of your train. You got your engine and then you got a rail car. Let me go with that. So it's another rail car added to your train. But that engine that's driving that son of a gun is got to be your brand. Like, you're going to plow through with your brand, and then you layer on PPC, direct mail, Google local services, a really good website, um, all the fun stuff, jingles, and I say it's fun stuff. Y'all may not think it's fun. It's marketing. It's fun to me. And then we layer on, hey, now we got them. We paid for that lead. Now let's keep them. Right. So those are super important things to stay in front of. And so, just glancing at this one more time, is this is our layered approach to marketing. You have to have a strong foundation. Your branding has to be strong. How and remember, that's not just a logo. That is how you make your market feel about you. It's how you make people know who you are. And then that discoverable is, how are you found? And it plays on top of being memorable. And then how do I keep them once I got them? Right? So, okay, I'm going to open the floor up for a couple of questions. I do see Dave said the home service contractor should own the home and orchestrate their service like Lemon Seed orchestrates for contractors. So, Lemon Seed's desire for our clients are that we are the puppeteer, or we are the orchestra, and we're helping all of your vendors stay in unison together. That's extremely hard to do when the brand is weak, or when we're putting all of our hope in all of our eggs in one marketing basket. But it's exactly true. Like, as their HVAC guy, like, you need to become their guy, the homeowner's plumber, their roofer, their pest control guy. You've got to become their guy. Those are very important. And then we've just got to be the experts, right? We have to be the experts. So I'll give you another minute or two to put some questions in there. But our last slide here, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Juice for June. It's June the 14th. Save the date. We'll be right in the middle of summer, which I'm ready for. So yesterday and today in East Texas were super humid. I was like, I hope this is not a precursor for the summer. Well, the only people that are excited about hot and heat and humidity are heating and air conditioning companies. So I just encourage you, make sure you save the date for June 14th. If you are loving Juiced, please talk about us on social media, tag Lemon Seed Marketing. Make sure you're listening to our podcast from the Yellow Chair. We have a really exciting webinar coming up in the middle of the summer about branding. So if you've been considering rebranding, thinking about it, be watching for more information about that webinar coming soon. So if I don't see any other questions, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Crystal. I'm the founder and lead strategist here at Lemon Seed Marketing. We would love to help you rebrand your business. We'd love to help you own your brand presence in your market. Call us, Friends and Family Talk free. If not, we will see you next time on June 14th for that summer session of Juice. See you next time.